Hello everyone and welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22 the Rangers podcast. Another week of Rangers and rumours all finished off by Roofe at Hampden. I am Scott Carney and joining me is Ali Pearson. First of all, how are you, mate?
Very well. Looking forward to talk about the Rangers, and we have two games this week as well, Kilmarnock and St Johnstone on Saturday too. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. Scotia, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, as Ali says, it's one of these rare weeks that we're going to have these last few months of the season where we actually do have 3 games in a week, which is it's good to see because it keeps you going, keeps you ticking over and not lingering on past performances and things.
That's true. And Ryan, how's it going, mate? You are very much like me, mate. You were taken down at the weekend. We were in the first aid tent, mate, along with Hollander and everybody else at Rangers that's injured. How are you feeling now, mate?
Yeah, they're saying 6 to 10 days for me, mate, and I should be back to full fitness. I unfortunately missed the game on Sunday. I think I spoke to you on Friday night, and I'd had a bit of a bug. It got worse on Saturday morning. I took my son to his football on Saturday morning, and then as soon as I got back, I was in my bed the full weekend, so I had to sell my ticket on Sunday. Unfortunately, it takes a lot for me to miss a game, as did you, mate. So yes, the A team get taken down by a horrible bug.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I pretty much after we finished live on Friday, about an hour after that, I just went rapidly downhill. Ended up all day in my bed Saturday, all day in my bed on Sunday. Got out of my bed last night about 4:30, and I'm on antibiotics now, which seem to be doing the trick because I do feel I'm much better today. And the difference in me compared to now to the way I was on Saturday is night and day. It really is. But I had to give up my ticket for Sunday, and that was a real sore one to do. I don't like doing that. I don't like going to Hampden, but I still don't like to. No, I couldn't have went. I just physically couldn't. I couldn't get out of my bed. It was impossible. So the fevers, the chills, the everything's, man. It was horrific. Honestly, horrific. But I'm back now, and plus nobody's really here to hear about how I'm feeling. Before we get into things, just a shameless plug as always. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Also leave your comments in the comments box below with your opinions on the stuff we'll discuss tonight. Additionally, if you'd like to go a step further to support the podcast, you can join the YouTube channel by becoming a member for as little as 99p a month. You can also buy the podcast a coffee and join the Coffee Buying Legend membership via buymeacoffee.com. All the links for that are in the description for this podcast. Now, gentlemen, we'll move on to Rangers things, as that's what we're here to discuss. And we will start with the 2-1 win over Aberdeen at Hampden. So 2-1 after extra time against 10 men Aberdeen. Less than a classic or a top-class performance. I think that's that's saying the least. But we are in the final, and that really is all that matters. Ryan, I'll come to you first, mate. Obviously, we weren't there, so I'll go back to Ali and Scotia regarding this. But the pitch, mate. Now, I seen about 10 minutes, if I'm being honest, when I came downstairs to get water. I seen about 10 minutes of the Celtic game, and I could see the pitch already looking like a ploughed field, let's be honest. And I thought, well, we need to play football on that tomorrow. Didn't pay too much more attention to it and went to my bed. But yeah, when you seen the pitch, the state of the pitch, mate, it was less than ideal. Beals made the joke in the presser today as well that the plastic pitch on Wednesday will be better than what we had to play on at Hampden on Sunday. It's not difficult for the SFA or whoever runs this, the SPFL, whoever it is that runs the cup, to think of an alternative to this.
It just, for me, I might go against Scotia because I know he's a big Scotland fan, but it fits Hampden. The stadium is a total cowp, and the pitch is a cowp as well. It's just amateur hour from them, how that pitch can be in that condition. I get there's been a few points, people saying that the two semi-finals could have been played apart, a bit further apart from each other to allow a bit of maintenance in between. I don't know if that would be the case in terms of fixtures for the both of them. Also, to be some sort of advertisement. Is it Viaplay you call them? Is that the latest sponsor? It'll always been a Coca-Cola cup for me, but I think it's Viaplay now. I'm sure they've got some sort of agreement. It has to be in the same weekend, which I get. However, that I just don't get how the pitch can be in such a bad condition. Have they not covered it? Do they not see the forecasts? I'm not obviously not ground staff. That's not what I do in my day-to-day job. But when I seen it, I watched the full Celtic game on Saturday. I was lying obviously in bed all day and I needed something to watch. And the pitch was in a total state, and I thought that'll be interesting tomorrow. And then I saw a picture in the morning. Somebody, I don't know who it was. It wasn't SFA. It was someone was bragging about how good the pitch looked on Sunday morning, and I thought that's a patch job. They've been forking that pitch all night to make that look presentable. As soon as the players run on that, I'll just dig all the turf up, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. It came into fruition, and it's a disgrace of a pitch for a national stadium. And it is something, even though I'm not an international fan, Hampden is something that Scotland should be proud of, because it's an iconic stadium and a lot of iconic matches have happened there. And for me, I think it's a more famous stadium than Wembley. But it's just such a letdown, and it's a reflection of who's running Scottish football as a whole. And yeah, we can't blame the pitch for how we played, because the other team have to play on it as well. But it's for a semi-final, for a showcase that Scotland should be proud of. Embarrassing.
Yeah, Ali, you were there. You seen it with your own eyes, mate. To be fair, it lasted 10 minutes, I think, really, in the first half. And then after that, it just became an absolute disaster. You could just see the baubles of the ball, and it really didn't help. It didn't help matters when this should be something that Scottish football was celebrating. A semi-final of a cup. It's something that a lot of people that maybe don't watch Scottish football would probably tune in to watch, because it's like, oh, it's a cup final, it's a semi-final. I'll stick it on to watch it. I get what Ryan's saying, that it has to be played in the same weekend. Surely there is scope for it not to be played at the same location, though.
This isn't. I mean, this has happened before with this pitch. This isn't new. It's. I thought it was an embarrassment to the English media, English fans that would have watched that over the weekend, and they think of us as a bit of a tin pot league up here. They would have looked at that and went, "Christ, is that your showcase there?" And it was embarrassing. I actually felt for players like Ryan Kent at the weekend, ball players, because you can't play his game. You obviously come on to the players and that, but it was an all right game, but the pitch ruined it, because you couldn't play football on it. But we knew this as we arrived there on Sunday, because of the Celtic Kilmarnock game previously, that the pitch was horrific there, the weather wasn't great, but they'll need to look at it going forward. And when we play the final in 6 weeks' time,
yeah.
So it has to be like a bowling green for the final, because it was completely unacceptable, and I really felt for genuine football players in terms of our team and Aberdeen's team as well. You couldn't play football on it.
Yeah, Scotia, Hampden's your home, away from home, away from home. I think that's right. Is that what? So Ibrox, and then it would be Hampden. Yeah. So defend it, mate. Can you defend it, really?
No, I honestly don't think I can. I seen on the BBC today that the SFA and SPFL have come out and saying that they're going to be looking at things in terms of Hampden, because obviously what Queen's Park left last season, was it, or the season before?
Yeah,
they'd stopped playing there regularly. I think they were playing up at Stenhousemuir until Lesser Hampden was kind of available for them. But obviously they're not there, playing every other week now. So how good's the level of groundkeeping during that when the games aren't on? Because really you've probably got about 6 or 7 Scotland games a season, plus your League Cup semi-final, final, and your Scottish Cup semi-final, final. So there's not that many games getting played on it. Obviously, it gets put out to concerts and stuff like that when they appear, but that's usually in the off season. So I don't know how great the groundskeeping is, given that they might feel that they don't need to keep it up to scratch because it's not getting played on regularly. But it was embarrassing after. I mean, you mentioned there, after about 10 or 15 minutes, the pitch started cutting up, and that's when Rangers Kenny fell out the game, because I thought we started well in those 10, 15 minutes, and it was probably coincided with the pitch cutting up when we sort of started to lose our way in that first half a wee bit. But no, it's not great. The time of the year that it's in as well, because obviously this has kind of been impacted with the World Cup being on when it was last year, because obviously we're now at the last few seasons we've been at the stage where the League Cup finals played before Christmas these days. So usually we'd actually just be getting back to the swing of things after the winter break. Right about now, it doesn't help. I mean, but we can get the exact same weather that we get this weekend. We could have got that in November, and it would have still been as bad. It's not great. It's not a great look. It's Hampden. There's an awful lot of issues with Hampden itself. I know not many people like it as a stadium. There's a few select areas where you got a seat and it's decent. Whereas if you're in one of the areas behind the goal, there's not a point going along to the game because an awful lot of the time you can't see what's happening up the other end of the pitch. But no, Hampden's needed to have something done to it for a while, even when they were doing that redevelopment back in 96, 97, I think that was when they kind of closed it down and done the redevelopment. They kind of balls that up, to be honest. For me, they made it worse. I was lucky enough I got to go to not the proper old Hampden, but the Hampden before the redevelopment. I managed to get to a couple of games there before it, and again, even being younger, it was an awful lot better. That's not even taking into consideration you're going a wee bit along the games a wee bit more ecstatic and stuff when you're a bit younger. But no, Hampden's is slowly falling downhill and not fit for purpose for what it should be.
No, it does sum up Scottish football, really, and you're spot on, mate. This all stems from when the redevelopment happened. It was the wrong thing that they chose to do. It's the wrong shape. Do you know what I mean? It's like it shouldn't be that shape for a football stadium.
They kept in the running track, so that was a big thing in Scotland. Was the running track round about pitches
for the Commonwealth Games, wasn't it?
No, it was that was just a typical thing in Scottish football stadiums. That you would have a running track. They would do like motocross and stuff around the pitch when it wasn't played the other days. So that's something that happened like back in the 70s and 80s and stuff. And I think they kind of kept that idea going. But there's no need for that massive gap behind the goals.
No, there just isn't. I don't know one person. Not one person has ever said to me that they enjoy going to Hampden. Honestly, not one person has said, I'd really love Hampden. Anyway, we'll move on. That wasn't really about Rangers, but we will move on. The performance overall. Thoughts on it? Again, I'll come back to you because I know you've done the post-match, Ali and Scotia. I appreciate it. I managed to piece that together with one eye open, lying in my bed, trying to get it uploaded so people had something to listen to because obviously we were two men down. Ryan, the conceded goal. Now I know who you'll fly at, mate. I am well aware of this. That it's just I can't think of a better phrase, and I apologise for my language here. It's just an absolute clusterfuck.
It's a Rangers goal to concede. Listen, I don't want to go at individuals, but collectively I've said numerous times in this podcast, if we keep backing these players, you'll have moments like that. It'll keep coming round. Yes, they might put a cross in on Wednesday that sets up a goal, or yes, they might score a goal against Dundee United at home or score a couple of goals against Dundee United at home. These big moments will continue to come round again, and they will. We're in a circle, we're in a loop with these players. And that player who I think everybody knows, it's no secret, I don't rate him as a footballer for Rangers. He will continue to have those big moments. He will, because it's just not in his locker. And we need somebody who has that in their locker and doesn't switch off and doesn't stand putting their hand up for offside. Although the centre-half doesn't cover himself in much glory either, I think he clearly sees that Bourne is sleeping. He sees he's sleeping and he's had a shout at him to switch on, and he starts running after the man. But then he leaves his man in the middle. He leaves the goal scorer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which I don't get. You've got one job to do. You've gave him the shout. You now mark your man and we're covered. You know the boy's going to get the cross in because Borner's not great at stopping crosses and he's lost the legs on the boy. So I'm willing to just kind of give up on the crosses coming in. Just do your job and mark the boy and then clear it. It was just, as you say, a cluster, you know what, it was just a calamity. And what we do, and it all comes from, again, your application and what you're doing in the game, what your mental state is. It's not good enough, and we'll get caught again. It will come again if we keep playing those players that let us down in big moments. And I know we'll go into the game in a bit more depth, but I had the fear when that goal went in.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly nice. It didn't do anything to cheer me up, to be honest, mate. The thing you called out about Ben Davies is spot on, mate, because that's why, look, I am not saying that Borna Barisic gets away with in here. It's unacceptable what he does here. There's absolutely no excuse for it. That I like play the whistle cliche. Yes, I get all that, but even at that, take that away from it. You don't just stand there and wave your hand about. Like, you've got VAR now. You know that if he's offside, the linesman isn't putting his flag up straight away. Don't stop your job. But Davies, for whatever reason, he calls Barisic is on the chase back. Okay, right, he's got to be thinking, as you say, the cross is coming in. I need to make sure wherever he is, I get to the ball before he does, and he just loses his man. And all of a sudden, it's like I don't know, just watching something in slow motion unfold before your eyes. And the way that he scored it, Alan McGregor standing there is good as a wet paper bag, and I'm like, I can't believe we're a goal down.
It's what we've said, like we've all said this in the pod for so many goals that we've conceded this year, is accountability. So many goals we've all criticised individual players or collectively as a team. We've all criticised them at one point and said there just seems to be this lack of accountability. And unfortunately, Borna Barisic has got a catalogue of this now, in my opinion. And, but to flip this on, just to show that I'm not picking on Borna, because I'm not. Tavernier did it against Aberdeen at home as well, where he stood in the box and put his hand up while I think it was Duke dribbled in and out of him and Leon King and put the ball in the back of the net. And it's this lack of accountability with the defenders that worries me with them, and it makes them look so vulnerable at times.
Yeah, it does. Ali, we are coming back from being a goal down, and again, this is where I can have my negativity bit about and my go at the team for the way they conceded that first goal, which they rightly deserve. And we did fall out with the play a little bit. It is down to the pitch, yes, as well, but still, I still think there's problems that run within this team. I think we spoke about it till we're blue in the face, mate. But you've got to give credit where it's due, I suppose, because we did come back from a goal down and we did win the game 2-1. I mean, I don't know how much more this team need to do in order to give themselves a massive confidence boost.
Yeah, we've played Aberdeen, was it 3 times or something this season, and gave them a goal of a start every time, so that's what we do. We were warned by that boy, Miofsky, whatever he's called, earlier on, a slip ball, and he put it in the back of the net, and he was just offside.
Some finished that, by the way. Great
finish.
Great.
Finish. McGregor shouldn't be getting beat there, but I don't think he's going to do that, to be fair. But it was some finish, so we were warned. But yeah, you can't dismiss the character of this Rangers team under Beale at the moment, because we have come back in quite a few games. Ideally, you don't want to go 1 down, especially against teams like Aberdeen on a ploughed field as well, because you can't play football. So I thought they showed character. I thought they came out the second half, Rangers, and I thought they played well. I thought your man, Scotia's man, sorry, because I said that to Scotia on Sunday, and he went, "No, it's my man as well." Ryan Jack, I thought, drove that Rangers team to that win. I really did. I thought he was brilliant. And for the equalising goal, fantastic goal. Ryan Kent as well, again, trying on a ploughed field. I thought he was very good again. But yeah, you've got to give them credit, Rangers, because it's shown character to come back, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just to get through. It doesn't matter how you get through at the final. You just want to be there, and they did it, Rangers.
Yeah, obviously we were helped by a ludicrous decision from the Aberdeen captain to decide to try and split Sakala in 2. Generally, I'm baffled at what he's thinking or what he's even trying to do. It's a ridiculous tackle. It's a red card all day long. A bonkers decision. Honestly, it's one of the ones that he'll look back on and go, "What was I doing there? Why did I even attempt that?" And we were then witness to, well, me and Ryan would have been, because we watched it in our sick beds, Michael Stewart somehow saying that it wasn't a red card, but it is a red card. And I'm going, I don't understand. Maybe I was hallucinating at this point as well. I'm looking at him, looking at the telly going, is he saying it is a red card, but it's not a red card at exactly the same time? That, honestly, a muppet of a man. Absolute muppet of a man. But yeah, we'll move on to VAR, Scotia. Beale's comment was actually pretty good after the game. We didn't use VAR last night and it didn't work at points tonight. Obviously commenting on the blatant penalty that Kilmarnock should have had the night before. But combining the state of that pitch, mate, and the fact that we bought VAR from a guy's rucksack in a pub. This isn't showing Scottish football in the best light. Let's be honest. It wasn't a great night for them.
No, I mean the VAR thing was at the start of the extra time that they're looking at me and Ali are looking at each other, going, "Where's Walsh going?" Because Walsh just kept on running up the tunnel. I'm like, "What's going on?"
It was just before Ryan Kent got his baseball bat out and smashed one of the Aberdeen players in the face with it.
It's not great. Not great VAR, is it? For going off like that, and because see if something had happened during that week period where it was down, I think it was down for maybe 5 or 6 minutes because they announced that it was back on at some point. There was a Kenny, one of those Kenny derisory cheers going around the stadium a wee bit. But if something had happened in that period that changes the game, be that in our favour, be that in Aberdeen's favour, can you imagine the fallout from it? It would be ridiculous. It's not great. We always knew there was going to be teething issues with VAR. But you don't want it to happen in a kind of showpiece event at the National Stadium, do you? No, not great in VAR. Obviously, VAR didn't really have to come into. Don't really think there was too much that VAR had to do during the game. There's obviously, like Ali mentioned, Miovski's offside, but even at the time, I thought he was offside. Watching it in real time, I wasn't overly concerned with that. I can't remember off the top of my head anything else. I've only watched brief highlights back. I've not watched the full game back yet, but. No, VAR going off's not great. That red card incident that you mentioned there with Stuart going on about that. I've watched the highlights back of that and see the way VAR's going and listening to referees describing how they need to implement VAR. I think even if he connects with the ball in that challenge, there's a shout that I think it was a St Mirren or St Johnstone game that I seen that it was Jason Holt. He'd won the ball, but he gets sent off for it because he goes into that tackle with too much force. He goes into the tackle with too much force, even though he wins the ball and he gets it. The VAR decision goes against him. So when I was watching that back, I was like, even if Stuart connects with that ball, there's a shout that can get done for dangerous play and getting pulled up by VAR. I think there's got to be a wee kind of acknowledgement with us that we don't understand the rules inside out like a referee does, and you'll complain about it when if you sit and look at it and hear the referee's explanation, which I know they've started to do a wee bit more, which is a good thing because it educates us a wee bit more in it rather than us just going off in a rant. But no, VAR itself, yes, buying stuff second hand after the World Cup's finished, that's the way forward, everybody.
Honestly, this will continue while we, the fools that run this game, continue to run this game. It is literally as simple as that. But the red card, as I say, I mean, he's blatantly trying to do Sakala there, a belter. He's trying to hurt him. So yeah, an absolute crazy decision. Ali, I'll come to you. You mentioned him. Ryan Jack, mate. Ryan Jack. Yes, is a conundrum, is it not? There's no doubt over the last 2 games, he's been superb, and he played... Did he play 120 minutes? Or did he go off? See how good my research is for this podcast. I think he did. I think he played the whole game. If he didn't, then he was on to the second half of the extra time, I think.
He did play. He played the full game.
The full game. Right, so his fitness issue is out the window now. He's back. He is fit. He's performing extremely well these last 2 games. He seems to suit the system. Does he get a new contract now?
Oh, I think he'll. I think he'll give him a year's deal or something, potentially. His performances over the last 2 games. He's been man of the match. Lundstrom again for me. He wasn't great again. Lundstrom. I thought his distribution at the pitch doesn't help, but his distribution and passing at times I thought was dreadful on Sunday. Ryan Jack, I thought, held it together in the middle of the park for us, and like I say, he drove us. But going forward next season, what age is Ryan Jack? 30, 31 or something now? He likes to have leaders, as he says, in that dressing room. Steve Davis probably won't be there. Does renew Arfield going forward next season? Probably not. So, yeah, I could see him giving him a year's deal, Carney, for next season. If he continues to do that, then why not?
Yeah, I think if he continues, if his performances do improve, look, and Ryan, your namesake, I know fine well that I have Ryan Jack tinted glasses, mate. I always will have. It's the way I am. I love the guy, right? And I would sign him up literally for the celebration alone. I'd be like, do you want 2 years? Just literally for running him. Literally 2 years, not a problem. And then his Insta post after it, I was like, yes, definitely. More of that. But I mean, if he's going to perform to this level, mate, there is no way if he can stay fit, and I know that's a caveat, I suppose, is if he can stay fit, and he is fit now, there's obviously nothing holding him back now. Hopefully they've got to the root of the problem, whatever that may have been. But if you continue to perform like this, I think Rangers would be silly to not at least offer him another year.
I think what my understanding of Jack is, and doesn't come from, I don't have this crazy source inside the Ibrox that I can tell you this is what it is, but it's his recovery. It's not his actual fitness, it's his recovery after games, and I think that's what the issue's been. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't expect him to play tomorrow night, tomorrow night is. I don't expect him to play there, and I'm not just saying that based on the recovery rumour I've heard, but just because of the plastic pitch, just not to risk him on that. Jack, for me, needs to play from now to the end of the season and at that level. I know that's crazy high standards. I know that's very demanding, but that's what I want to see. I think that we need to see that Ryan Jack for him to earn a new contract and to be worth a new contract. I know he's not on the best money in terms of player salaries at Ibrox, but that doesn't matter to fans. That for me, that doesn't matter. You just want to see a fit player producing that level of football on the pitch. Ryan Jack's, much to his frustration, has not been able to do that. He's broke down on numerous times. He's not been fit or struggled with his recovery. But if he can do it, if he can reach those levels, then I don't see it's a no-brainer. Yeah, you do renew someone like that's contract. But I think that's why there's nothing on the table just now. I would imagine those conversations have already been had between Beale and Ryan Jack, that you've got from now to the end of the season, then we'll reevaluate things. We all know Ryan Jack would walk over glass to sign a new contract. There's no doubt about it. He loves the club. So it'll be an interesting one to see. I'm not being pessimistic about it. I'm just seen this before with Ryan Jack and got my hopes up. And then I've been disappointed because he's just broken down again. So I'm just reserving my judgment a wee bit. And as I'm doing with a couple of the players at the moment, but yeah, if he can perform at the levels that he's shown, and he continues to do so and play 90 minutes, because he played 90 minutes the week before. Did he play 90 minutes at Dundee United? I think he did. I'm sure he did, because I think that was his first 90 minutes. So
I think he did.
I'm pretty sure he did. If he can do that on a regular basis, yeah, he gets a new contract.
Yeah, Scotia, we've had conversations on here about we need to stop the sentimental feelings for players and stuff, and I'll always have them for Ryan Jack. I get that, but I think if the player's performing and he's staying fit, and it will be a case of he'll know himself he has to stay fit, because one more injury that's going to keep him out for a significant period of time will spell the end of him for Rangers, no matter how well he was playing before it. I think that would be the end. I think even him himself would probably know that, but it wouldn't be fair not to offer him a new contract if this continues.
No, I think so. I'm in agreement with Ryan there in terms of that he's got the rest of this season to kind of keep himself fit and keep his standards up, because Ryan Jack does improve our squad, be that and his desire to play like he done the last two games, that it's been him that's driven us forward to do that. But all the things that Ryan Jack will bring off the field as well, in terms of getting that into new players coming in. I mean, Beale's come out in the press recently before and said that, you know, he doesn't need the players to play 50, 60 games a season for them. They can be players that will come in and out of games, and Jack would be a valuable asset for that, because if you look at your bench and you see that you've got Ryan Jack on the bench, then you're fairly comfortable with that. If Jack's not there, you're then maybe going, oh, right, we're maybe a wee bit light in midfield. How do we change things up? I think Jack's, for me right now, it would be a no-brainer. I would give him another year. I feel like I'm saying this all the time now, but you look at that starting the lineup that we had on Sunday there, and there was only two Scottish players there in the starting lineup, and it's something that you need to keep in mind, that you need to fill your quota of European players up with X amount of homegrown and X amount of Scottish players. Otherwise, you're just using your B team to fill gaps, and there'll be players that won't be able to contribute to your European squad. Whereas I think Jack, if he stays injury free for the rest of the season, he can have a good contribution for Rangers over the next year or so. So I would have no qualms with getting Ryan Jack signed up on a new deal, because I think we need that wee bit of consistency. We have said before that midfield does need freshened up, but I don't see any harm in having Jack in and around there, because there's certain games that we need a player like him playing.
I can't help my smiling when we're all talking good about Ryan Jack. Honestly, you can probably hear the smile in my voice. Kamar Roofe, Ryan. Out for the next 2 games at least. It was confirmed at the presser today. He's took a sore one in his shoulder. It's not broken, but there's some form of detachment, so he's got to go and see a specialist about it. Is he the unluckiest man in football with these injuries? Now, the guys come on and won us the game, so people are like, I get that people are kind of clamouring for he should be moved on. And to be honest, I am on the fence because you can see what he offers us when he plays. He gets you that goal. He gets you the goal that you need. He's in the right place more times than he isn't. But then just to go down and get injured, I'm pretty sure every single one of us gave a wee sigh when we seen him stay down.
Oh, it's so frustrating. It's very similar to the feeling when Jack drops. You're just like, here we go again. Like, do we need to do this? Can you not just get rid of him? You get frustrated, then you think it's not his fault. And I want to be on record for saying I think Kemar Roofe's the best striker we've got at the club when he's fit. I think his movement is brilliant. I've said before, I think he's above the Scottish Premier League level, but his injury, how prone he is to injury, it's why he's here. It's why he's in Scottish football. I was delighted when he scored the winner because he scored so many important goals for Rangers over the time he's been here. But when he went down and didn't move, I was like, that's him. That's him out again. This is going to be like a dislocated shoulder or something seriously wrong with him here. And yeah, he does look extremely unlucky. I mean, what do you do with a player like that? What do you like? He'll be on decent money, I'd imagine. Mm-hmm. What do you do with a player like that? Do you just hope that, or do you offer him a contract that's a bit reduced and say, listen, based on performances, we can't give you the same contract you were on, or do you just let him go? Do you pay him off? Do you try and loan him out? I don't know what. It's such a calamity for Bill to deal with because there you go. I reckon if Roofe didn't play on Saturday or Sunday, do we score the second goal? I don't know. Yeah, it's up for debate, but he's such a good player for us, and he scores in big goals and big moments. And I would hate to say we need to get rid of him, but it's getting that stage where I feel sorry for him. That's what it's like. It's just you feel so sorry for the guy.
Yeah, Ali, I felt extremely sorry for him on Sunday. I'm not going to lie. I was like, obviously feeling sorry for myself at the same time, but I felt so sorry for him, mate. I was just like, you couldn't script that.
Everyone round for me in Scotia were at a adult turned to each other and went, oh, come on, honestly, not again. And Beale's come out in the press and said he's had this injury before on the other shoulder, so it's not as if this is a new injury. So he's just made of glass, Kamar Roofe. It's and even Beale came out today saying we don't know how long he's come out for. Next 2 games, it could be weeks, it could be months. It's months. Come on, it's Kamar. If Kamar Roofe's back within 3 weeks, I'll be shocked.
Scottish Cup final, Ali.
He probably
score the winner. Score the winner.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past him because, like Ryan says, he scores big goals. The goal he scored was outstanding. He's a penalty box striker. That's what he's there for. Puts it away brilliantly. I did say to Scotia when it went to extra time, I said, we need to win this in the 30. If this goes to penalties, I would fancy Aberdeen. I just, the way the game was, I thought we had to win it in the 30. And Kamar Roofe was the perfect guy to do that, and he did it. When he went off, I thought we used all the subs at that point as well. I turned to Scotia when we used all our subs, and it took us, which seemed like an eternity, to get Charlie McCann on the park for some reason. Yeah. But Kamar Roofe, it's unlucky. We have a laugh and a joke about it, but it's sad for the guy, and that's why we've got him, because he's unfortunately made of glass.
Yeah, Scotia. Obviously, Ryan and I watched it in the telly. When he was coming off, he physically screamed in frustration, while blatantly holding his arm up. You can't help but feel for the guy. But do Rangers continue with him?
Oh, it's an interesting question, Carney. No, it was really frustrating to see him go off because he was down and he was down for a while. And obviously, when he went off holding his shoulder, Natalie turned to each other and I was like, that looks if it could be a dislocation. So it was good to hear Beale in the press conference say that it's not a dislocation as such, but there's a small separation. So it's somewhere in between being fully dislocated and not.
Yeah.
And I think, like Ryan was mentioning there about Jack, it's the recovery with Roofe that he always seems to almost be getting back to full fitness and then breaks down a wee bit. So hopefully it is only these 2 games that he's out for. He can get back up to speed because it's so frustrating for us as fans, probably more so for Roofe himself, that he's not able to meet his full potential. Because I remember it would have been during the sort of first COVID lockdown. I'm sure he was on like TalkSport or something doing a wee video and he was sitting in his house with his Rangers top on.
That's right.
Waxing lyrical about Rangers, saying how much he loved to play here and speaking about watching like Loving McCoy and things like that. And I'm like, no, this is a guy that gets it, really wants to contribute to the club, and just unfortunately injuries have been an issue. Do we persevere with them? Again, it comes down to this thing about like being too sentimental with players, because I want him to see him succeed at Rangers. I really do. But can we afford to? You'll probably come on to this question as well, because we are light up top again, once again, this kind of period of the year where we seem to get a wee bit short up front. It's a difficult one with Roofe. He's on contract, until the end of next season, I think.
End of next, yeah.
He'll potentially be in a similar situation to what Ryan Jackson at the moment. That it's just, right, we'll wait and see. We'll hold it out until, can you? And you're playing a wee risky game there, because what could happen is that he'll see through the injury and then come on to an absolute blinder of a game, and someone will come in for peanuts with him in a pre-contract next January. I just hopefully he gets back to full fitness and he can contribute, after these 2 games are out the way, that he can be back in the squad and help the team out.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's not a long one, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'm a bit like Ali. If it's Kemar Roofe out with an injury, then it's months, it's not weeks usually. Right, we'll move on. The presser today. We'll come on to some good old negativity just shortly. Don't use worry regarding particular, but regarding this particular presser anyway. There was a few comments made that me and Ryan had a wee discussion about before we came on to record. I'll come to you. Transfers or lack of, depending on your position on it. No interest in Tom Davies was confirmed. He didn't rule out interest in Morgan Whittaker, who we will come on to and speak about. And when asked about Cantwell, and although he didn't actually say this directly about him, he said he's happy with how things are progressing. He said he doesn't want any short-term fixes. It needs to be long-term. Are we being impatient? Is Beale just making sure he gets his right men in?
Us as fans, we want the deals done in the 1st of January. Get them
But
all in.
It is the 17th of January, but to be fair.
I know. And you need to remember that the January transfer window is a dodgy window to do deals in. A lot of clubs, that's what you see a lot of clubs doing their business in the last 3-4 hours of this window, because they run it all the way up, and these clubs that have kind of been playing poker with them go, right, we'll do the deal now then. This is what happens. Folk know we're in for Cantwell. So I can see it happening. There's too much talk about it. I seen today on Twitter a couple of kind of guys on it, journalists saying that he's coming up to Glasgow for talks and that. So I can see it happening. It's just it's taking longer. Us as fans, we were all expecting this week. I mean, we're on what's today, Tuesday. We were expecting 2 signings this week. That's what he kind of told us. He was hoping 2 signings this week, and it might still happen. For all we know, tomorrow, Thursday, the boy Cantwell and the boy Whittaker, who I know very little about, I know he's done well at Plymouth and loan, could be in the door by the time we go to McDermott Park on Saturday. And by then you'll be going, right, that's good going forward. But it's a dodgy window. I think we need to be patient. But you know, Carney, as I know, Rangers fans, including ourselves, we are not patient. But
we're a lot of things, mate, but we're not patient.
Yeah, I just think we need to be patient, and I trust Michael Beale. I think they'll be in. Cantwell, for me, I think it's not a shoe-in, but there's too much to talk about him. I think he'll be in. I'll just need to see with the boy Whittaker, see what happens.
Yeah, Scotia, you mentioned it as well, so I'll come to you with this. Do we need a forward or another striker even? Bailey Presser today was asked if the forward position is a priority. Obviously, with Rangers being linked with Morgan Whittaker. He is at Swansea currently. He's a 22-year-old forward that could play any role within our front four, if you like, according to reports. He was on loan at Plymouth for the first half of the season, 9 goals, 7 assists. Beale obviously mentioned the problems we've had with injuries, mate. Obviously, our injuries with strikers and the fact that we finished the season last season without a fit striker, and the fact that there's no news on Kent O'Morello's contract situation. I have thought for a while we are going to need to do something because, and again, this is no disrespect to Kamar Roofe, but we can't rely on him. And Morelos' form being up and down like a yo-yo, the uncertainty of his future. I've thought we do need someone. But what's your thoughts on us being linked with Morgan Whittaker?
I don't know an awful lot about the boy, if I'm being honest. So to me, it doesn't look like it's someone that's going to be able to come in and hit the ground running automatically, if I'm being brutally honest. Just with the look of where he is and his kind of career development and things, I don't think he's going to be able to come in and replace you like, say, an Alfie or a Cholak for that. I could be completely wrong, but that's just the impression I get. But I'm with you. I think looking at the forward line, it's probably an area that we do need to strengthen. But the worry that I've got, and I was speaking to club at 22 admin Jamie Lowe at the weekend about this, is we kind of always tend to forget about the FFP rules, and obviously Rangers were flagged up as being kind of on that close to the warning list for the FFP rules, and it doesn't help when you've got players like Kent and Alfie sitting there, in particular Alfie, who's had umpteen contract extensions while he's here, so his wages have been constantly going up and up and up. So I'm kind of over the past week, not even a week, half a week, I've been going like, Alfie, it's maybe time to just let Alfie go, because his contract, the wages that he's going to be on are going to be such a big percentage of the of all the players, that can we afford to keep him in terms of meeting this FFP regulation stuff? But I think we definitely do need a striker, and whether that's going to be Morgan Whittaker or not, I don't know. I was looking at it. I mean, obviously you've got Lovelace and Robbie Ure down in the B team, but I don't think they're at a stage where they're ready to make that jump up to the first team and contribute. I mean, we've spoken before about how difficult it is for a Rangers striker to come through the youth ranks and make an impression. It's not happened in a very, very long time. So I think it's potentially somewhere we need to look at. And I was having a wee think, and I seen Kevin Nisbet's out of contract at the end of next season. He wouldn't be a player that I wouldn't mind going in for, if I'm being honest. Although Hibs at the moment would probably want an absolute arm and a leg for him. But just obviously he's come back from injury, and he's impressed me when he's been fit.
Yeah, I kind of get that argument. That's one that I've seen the link of for Kevin Nisbet, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be the worst decision, really? I think the boy would probably get goals for us. Whether he fully fits, so in fact he probably does fit, because he can play anywhere really across that front three, can't he? Because he's got a bit of pace with him. So the Nisbet one, that's maybe a wee bit premature for us to be discussing him at this stage, but no, as a player like that is definitely what we'd be looking for. Right, Ryan, I'll come to you, mate. A change in tone in the presser, in my opinion, and a few contradictions were also made. Now, I know we get all the time that you are a negative podcast, right? I'm well aware of that. I get that. But I do say how I see it and how I feel about things that are said. And whether Beale was trying to calm the clamour of new signings from fans or not, I do feel there was a change in tone today. Again, I understand I'm grumpy, I'm grouchy, I've not been feeling very good. But the main one for me, and he kind of went back on a few things as well that he'd said previously today, was he was asked about getting players in by the weekend. He's replied that there is no timeline on it, but by the end of the window, we will have done the business we want to do, or it will be the summer. But before long, you'll hear news on new signings. But he also said at the start of the presser, no news is good news. Now, as I said, I'm sorry. I know I've been ill and I'm a bit grouchy, but there is absolutely no way, shape or form in my mind that Rangers can get through this transfer window without signing anyone, Ryan.
I'll not apologise for what I'm about to say because it's telling the truth, mate. It's telling the truth. There was a big change in his kind of. I thought he was quite cocky last week. I was very surprised at how open he was in terms of the transfers. I didn't know if he was trying to give us hope or he genuinely believed it, or he mentioned a few things last week, and if it doesn't materialise, he's going to look silly. And this is what I've been worried about Beale coming in. I'm hoping it's just a kind of a mix up or whatever. But he did say 2 players in next week. I'm excited to see Premier League players. That's what he said to me. That I take that as 2 Premier League players are signing this week. I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and say 2 Premier League players are not signing this week, just after hearing his presser today. And I've got the exact thing noted down here, mate. As you said, they asked him about players in by the weekend, and he said he doesn't want to put a time on it. I mean, that is a big change from I've done my work.
If they're going to be tomorrow, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Which makes me think, has he been a bit naive in terms of thinking that's the deal's done? Has someone else come in for Leeds players? Has he been naive because he's never probably been part of this side of things in terms of negotiations with players, because he's always been the number 2 or the number 3. So something's definitely changed, and he has contradicted himself with a few things. I don't want this to come across as a direct criticism at Beale, because, as I've said last week, I'm starting to really warm to him. He's saying the things that I want to hear. But what it does make me think is that the board again, red flag when you mention this board, but the board again are being reluctant to bring players in, or they've got their own ideas, or there's something not been agreed between Beale's plans and theirs. It could be, as Scotia alluded to there, about the financial fair play. There's just something, when you're something not right, everybody knows when you get that feeling you smell a rat. And I just thought, I was watching it and I thought something's not right there. You've taken a change. You're not as cocky about these transfers now. And it worries me. It does worry me that, and it's easy to look at him saying, I've spoken to Premier League players and I want them coming next week, to then the same day being linked with a player, no disrespect, he could come up here and light it up, but a player who's playing him for Plymouth, Argyle. That's when you start thinking, have you got your list? But Ross Wilson's got his list, and we've seen this before. We've seen it before under Gio, and he was making the right noises about bringing players in who will improve the first 11. And we'll just need to strap ourselves in and hope that it doesn't materialise. But if we come to the end of the window and we have not signed players who improve that first 11, I'll be more than concerned.
Ali, I think are we reading too much into this? I mean, Ryan just being that wee bit too negative. I don't know if you had a chance to catch it, mate, but I just got the feeling today. I was like, hang on, this isn't really the same as you were saying before. And look, contract situations and contract negotiations, they are all very, very complicated. There's all sorts of things that need to be sorted out. But even halfway through this window, I would like him to still be saying, I'm confident that we're going to have players in by the end of the window. But he mentioned the summer, and I was like, that straight away I went, I don't care about the summer. We need improvement now.
I think he will. I think that man flu's got to the two of you. I think it has. I think that's what it is.
Staunch points.
I'm going to bring some positivity to Summit 22, the negative podcast here.
Good.
I fully expect 2 players to be in by the time we go to McDermott Park. Whether they'll be in the bench or I expect Rangers to sign 2 players by the time we go to McDermott Park on Saturday.
Ali, 2 first teamers, 2 players who improve the first 11 is what he said. Is that what we're going to get?
I don't work for Rangers, but from what I'm looking at...
You're backing you back yourself. Double down.
No, well, I'd expect Canwell to be in. I think there's too much noise about him. I'd expect him to be in. Will he improve our first team? 100%. I know he's not got a tune. And the boy Whittaker, I need to look at him. 9 goals, 6 assists, whatever it is for Plymouth. Plymouth are doing well in League 1, I think they're in or something. There's always been a few rough diamonds from those lower leagues that have come up to Scotland and done well. you say Gary Hooper at Celtic. We've got Joe Aribo for Charlton's, and so you never know. Will he be a first team start age of 22? I don't know. Will he improve our forward line? Probably, yeah, because we lack goals in the Rangers team at the moment. So, no, I'm positive, and like I say, I think we'll bring 2 players in by the time we go to McDermott Park on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not so confident after today, to be honest.
Come back to
But
me on Friday.
I know, that's just me though. Scotia, Ryan just being Rangers Daz here.
I'm not as confident as Ali is for bringing 2 players in. I potentially think we'll bring one in by the weekend. But like you say, that's us 17 days into the transfer window now. And also take into consideration the fact that there was that 4-week period with the World Cup where there should have been an awful lot of things getting looked at, in my opinion, at that point, to look to bring players in ready to start on for that Old Firm game, potentially, if you want to look at it that way. But I think this is a wee bit of a combination of Beale kind of figuring out the Rangers manager position and how you approach the press and things like that, that I think you'll see as time goes on, that he'll rein it in a wee bit more. Because I think he did say, and I listened to the majority of the press conference today, and I think what I picked up was it said that, oh, when you spoke to me about Tom Davies last week, you caught me off guard. And then he was just, speaking about Tom Davies as a player, and he's maybe getting, I mean, we're guilty of it all the time, particularly after like our post-match and stuff, where you'll say something and you're like, oh, actually need to kind of say more about that and explain my position a wee bit further. So I think you're maybe seeing a wee bit of that with Beale. But there is, I like what Ryan was saying about wee concern and warning signs that there's not maybe going to be as much movement as we think, because was it last week he came out and said that, speaking about Sands and Tillman, and he was saying like, oh, I don't really know where we are in terms of being able to afford both of them on the kind of the transfer fees that they've got and those option to buy loans. So I do think that he's reining it in a wee bit, and I think maybe as fans we need to rein in our expectations of just how much activity there's actually going to be in the remaining 2 weeks of the transfer window.
Yeah, I do think that as well, and also we're used to having loan signings and stuff, whereas I don't think Beale's going to do that, which I commend him for. I genuinely do. Looking at the future's good. We don't need short-term fixes. I agree with that. We need players that are going to improve this squad in the long haul. So yeah, maybe it is just a wee backlash of my recent illness that I've had. But yeah, today I was just like, hang on, that's not what you were saying before. And you're right, he probably is. Maybe he has been told, look, go and not put all your cards on the table straight away, like give us half a chance here. There's a possibility there's something in that. Anyway, we'll move on, gentlemen. We'll move on to the Kilmarnock preview. Plastic pitch and Derek McInnes football. What is not to look forward to about that lineup? So we take on Kilmarnock at Rugby Park Wednesday night, kick off 8 p.m. 1 defeat and 9 at home for Kilmarnock. That's the way they are just now anyway, and however they are 11th in the league, and to say they've had mixed run of results, to say the least. Obviously they get beat 2-0 by Celtic in the League Cup semi-final on Saturday. Squad update, Ali, I'll come to you. Lawrence has suffered a setback, no timeline, full of fear with that comment, mate. Absolutely went straight through my whole body when he said it. I was like, brilliant. Cholak won't be risked on that pitch, which is fair enough. Should be back for Saturday. And Roofe out. He did mention in the presser he'll be making some rotation due to the pitch, and we're coming off 120 minutes on a ploughed field at Hampden, mate. So your thoughts ahead of the Kilmarnock game, mate?
And he also mentioned Matondo, Carney, which he left out there, who's been...
Did he?
Apparently he's been injured for the last couple of weeks. That's why he's not been on the bench,
I didn't even hear it. As soon as I hear his name, I just shut off, mate. Has he been injured?
Which kind of, we've had a laugh and a joke that he can't get in that bench, but he's actually been injured, so that's how he can't get the bench. So I apologise, Ravi, for slagging you off. But
I don't. For the record, I don't.
But no, I mean, come on. I didn't watch the game, the Celtic Kilmarnock game. I know Ryan did, but from what I've read about it, I think Kilmarnock were unlucky in the game. They had a few good chances, should have had a penalty. Kyle laugh at his back for them after his 10-match ban, whatever it was. I know that was his first game back there, but he's back. The plastic pitch. I was surprised by that start, that they've only been beaten once in 9 games. at their home ground, and it was off Livingston. So there's another team that plays on a plastic pitch. So it's always tough up in Rugby Park. I mean, we rarely go up there and do Kilmarnock in recent years. It's always by a goal or something up there. It's always a tricky ground to go to, but we should be going there expecting to beat Kilmarnock convincingly tomorrow. They're one of these teams that we talk about, Carney, your Hibs, your Hearts. You throw them in there, it's like, oh God, it's Kilmarnock, but we shouldn't be thinking that way. We should be going up there positive and taking the game to Kilmarnock. And yeah, we should do it. With the players we've got, regardless of injuries, we should be going up to Rugby Park tomorrow night and taking care of Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I think so. While you're at it, mate, give me your team and your score.
Ooh. McLaughlin will come back in. Tav, Goldson, Davies, Ryan's pal Barisic. I agree. I don't think Ryan Jack will play on the plastic pitch. It'll be Lundstrom, Kamara will come back in. Tillman. I did think will he drop Ryan Kent. I think he can drop Ryan Kent. Ryan Kent, Morelos for the middle, because that's all we've got, and the man for Zambia. So 2 changes for me. And you want to score as well?
Go for a score as well, yeah.
Well, I'll no doubt ship a goal. We always do. I'll 3-1 Rangers again. Ryan Kent, first goal scorer.
That's fair enough. Scotia, your thoughts ahead of the game? And are you riddled with fear the fact that Lawrence doesn't have a timeline yet?
It's always bound to happen, wasn't it? I mean, we've had some decent injury news in terms of players getting back recently. You know, your likes of Suter and Hadji, so it was bound to happen with at least one of them. But it would be, oh no, he's had a setback. It's never good when you hear the word setback because you're not given any information on how bad that setback's going to be. So I mean, we could be looking to the tail end of back end of March before we maybe see Lawrence back in the squad. So it reiterates maybe the need to freshen up that midfield during this window as well, if he's going to be out for a lengthier period than we expected. But no, like Ali was saying there about Kelly, I don't like Kelly, particularly at this time of the year, going down to Rugby Park. I think it was about, 3 or 4 years ago, where it was the season where we just had an utter collapse down at Rugby Park, and it was like, oh no, done so well for the 6 months up to the winter break, and then we came back against
It was
Kelly.
Defoe's debut at Scotia.
Was it?
Jermaine Defoe, he scored the first goal and he beat 2-1 off Jordan Jones, who signed a pre-contract with us. So.
Yeah, so it was, yeah. So it was. I mean, it was almost probably about 3 or 4 years to the day when we kind of played that game as well. But you look where Kelly are sitting in League 11th. They've not been great in the league, but you mentioned that stat that they've only been defeated once at home in the last 9 games, and that was against. I know Beale made a point of making that was against Livy, the other team that play on a plastic pitch. But I do think the plastic, as much as we maligned the Kelly Park when they were in the league a couple of seasons ago for being terrible, I think it will be an improvement on the pitch on Saturday or Sunday there. But I'm hoping we can go out and get the job done and convincingly get the job done. I'd like to think we do. I think we've got enough quality throughout the team, even with rotations, that we should. One of the things I noticed as well, obviously, Kelly kind of play. I didn't watch their game, but they play like a sort of 3-5-2, 5-3-2 kind of formation. And one of the really good things that we probably don't mention enough is the fact that Lewis Mayo, he's obviously out and loan from us there, and he's played like 24 or 25 games this season for them. So they're going to have to do a wee bit of rotation at the back because he's obviously ineligible to play. So that's always good because we've not made use of that kind of, sending players out on loan to Scottish Premiership teams and taking advantage of that. So, no, I'm getting into the game feeling fairly comfortable, and I think we should do well. Do you want my team and my score as well?
Yes.
So, similar to Ali, I think I'm making 3 changes from the weekend. I'm going with McLaughlin in goals, Tav, Goldson, Davies and Borna at the back. Midfield, Lundstrom, Kamara and Scott Arfield. And then Morelos, Kent, and I think you might see Scott Wright come in and play Scott Wright. And I'll go for 3-0 Rangers with an Arfield first goal scorer.
Fair enough. Quickly, my team, I think it'll be McLaughlin, Tav, Goldson, Davies, Barisic, Sands, Kamara. I would love to say Lowry, but I think he'll play Tillman. and Kent Morelos, and I agree. I think you might see Scott Wright get a game, give Sakala a rest, because he has mentioned rotation quite a lot. And we did briefly speak about Lundstrom, but we've been saying it for weeks. He needs a rest at the team. He needs a wee bit of time away from the team to get his form back to where it needs to be. So I'll go with that team. I'll go 2-0 Rangers and Ryan Kent to score the first. I was going to put Arfield in as well, but I prefer Arfield when he comes off the bench. When I see him start, I'm like, just make him come off the bench. It's what he's for. Ryan, your thoughts ahead of it, mate, and your team and your score?
Yeah, like I said, I watched Kilmarnock on Saturday, and they did play well against them. Because the difference was they got close to them. They got close to them and not put the boot in, but they just made it difficult for Celtic on that pitch. And I thought they played really well, Kilmarnock. They were unlucky not to get something from it, and obviously I think there was some sort of VAR decision that didn't happen for them at the end of it. But hey ho, it's a conspiracy. I think Rangers this season, I want to see from now to end of the season, is going to these places and winning. We need to get rid of this fear factor of, I think it was Ali that said about, but look at Kilmarnock as one of those grounds. It needs to stop as a support and the team. I've said this before. We need to start thinking we're going there and winning, and that's what we need to do tomorrow. And I think they will. So anybody that's put in a negative comment by now, I hope you've listened to the end of this, because I think Rangers are going to play well for both halves tomorrow night.
Oh.
Kamara will replace Jack. Lundstrom will play, and so because after what Beale said in his press conference was another thing that I was puzzled at. He said, I'm trying to keep a consistent bunch of players playing every week so that there's a backbone to the team, and Lundstrom was mentioned as well, and I thought, okay, so he's undroppable as well. That's what I took from that, he's undroppable. So I think Lundstrom will play. I think Scott Wright will play on the right because of how he played. I think you've got to give him a game tomorrow night because of how he played. He earned a spot, even though we know he's an impact player. He deserves a start tomorrow night. And I am going to go for 3-1 Rangers as well. And I'm going to go Tavernier penalty.
Yeah, I did think about that as well. Thought it's been a while. So let's hope we get a decent performance in both halves, and we don't need to wait until 9 o'clock tomorrow night before Rangers start to play a bit of football. So that'll do us for tonight, gentlemen. Ali, thank you very much, mate.
No problem. I'll see you tomorrow night for a post-match.
For a post-match, yeah. Scotia, cheers, mate.
Aye, thank you, guys. That was enjoyable.
And Ryan, thanks very much, mate. Get better soon, man.
You too, babes. You too. Right. Thank you, mate. Cheers. Enjoy your night.
Yeah, as always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. That would be great. And whatever you listen to us, if you drop us a wee 5-star rating, that would be very much appreciated as well. We will be back tomorrow night, hopefully to discuss another 3 points for Rangers. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everyone.